Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Efficient Practice Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Evelyn Samuel, and I am so excited about the show today. You have to listen to this entire episode because, boy, have I got a treat for you. I have on the show today one of my dear friends and classmates from the University of Alabama School of Dentistry. We're going to try to keep it like a podcast, but it's going to be a conversation amongst friends. On the show today, I have Dr. Anissa Holmes. Welcome to the show, Dr. Holmes.
Thanks for having me, Miss Evelyn. Remember, she said we are friends. Like Evelyn was in my wedding. So thanks so much for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so excited. We're going to have so much to talk about. And I refer to her as Dr. Anissa Holmes, but she's really Miss to me. So, Dr. Holmes, Anissa is the creator of Delivering Wow. If you haven't heard of her, I don't know how you could not have heard of her, but we're going to dive in deep and talk a little bit about some of the wonderful things that she's doing now. And so, Anissa, for the listeners, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Of course, I know you and I know your story and I know all the wonderful things that you're doing right now. But could you tell our listeners a little bit about you and what's going on and what brought you here?
Right, absolutely. So I am a dentist. Like Evelyn says, I went to University of Alabama. I actually graduated 20 years ago. And what's interesting, my story is part of like the evolution of what I'm doing now, right? And so my story actually started when I was in Alabama. Actually, I met my husband. He's an oral surgeon, and he actually grew up in Jamaica. And so when we met, he says, you know what, I have this dream and this vision to be able to move back home. I want to be able to serve my own people, and there's just frankly not enough oral surgeons in America. And so we actually moved. I had a practice in Birmingham. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I sold that practice to really have him to be able to pursue his passion. Now, when I moved, it was great. But what was really scary is that I did not have a lot of money. I had a little baby. I was pregnant. And so I had to like figure out how to live in a new country, how to be able to grow my business. And just like so many dentists, like you have overhead and you have like all of this stuff. And so you have to figure it out. And so what came of that was, number one, me having a practice that I needed to figure out how to get patients in. And so I actually stumbled upon Facebook marketing. And so I, again, not having a lot of money, I actually figured out how to be able to get 10 patients and then 20 and then 30 and 40 and then 50 patients a month eventually through social media. Now, at the same time, what was really neat is that I hired a business coach. And I did not have a lot of money, but I knew this lady had the knowledge of, and I didn't even know what I didn't even know that I had to know, right? But I remember going to a conference and I came home and I told my husband, I said, I want this lady to help me learn how to run my business. And he's like, well, how much is it? And I said, it's $3,000. And he's like, we can't afford that. And he says, and he says, you know how to run businesses. I said, I know how to inspire people and I know how to lead a team. Like that will always be easy for me, but I don't even know what I don't even know. And so I said, I'm going to do it. So anyway, the first month I hired her and it was like a wash. The next month I was able to easily pay her. Then we put in processes. We understood how to put in systems and how to really get teams fired up and engaged about practice growth. And we actually tripled our numbers. And what happened was that within 2 years, I paid off all debt. I built a brand new office, cash, no loans, and a lot of things changed for me. And she said, you know what, you have done it. Like everybody in the community knows who you are. You're giving to charity. You now have the ability to take a month off and travel with your family. And what's next for you? Right. And I said, I don't know. And she says, well, what's your legacy going to be? And I'm like, that's a pretty big question. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book. Right. And so I said, I'm going to write a book and I'll just document everything that we did. and what I did. And like, because when I go to conferences, I don't hear people talking about the things that I put in place. And I just feel like I've got to get that out. Right. And so I wrote the book, and then I was like, who's going to read my book? Like, I'm living in Jamaica, like seriously. Right. And so that is when I started the podcast, because I was like, you know, people, the only way they're going to know who I am so I can help them is that if I have a voice. And so I created the podcast, and from there, people started interviewing me on their podcast. People started hearing about what we're doing with social media. Dennis started asking me, like, can you teach me social media, which was never my intention. And ultimately, I was like, you know what, people are asking. And I dove deep into really understanding Facebook and digital marketing. And I hired like the best of the best who are outside the dentistry. And I was not going to compete with them. So they gave me like all of their secrets. I hired Russell Brunson one-on-one, who's one of the most brilliant marketers that ever lived, who's the founder of ClickFunnels and funnels and digital marketing. And so I actually am in his one-on-one mastermind, and it's been really cool. So that's been what's been going on. I now I've been helping dental practices. I've trained over 1,000 practices in how to use social media marketing. And what's been really cool is we've also been helping practices with practice growth. And so practices have been growing by 30%, 40%, some even, 57% or even more within 1 year, just following the same people, processes, and tools. So it's just been really fun. Like when we got on the call before, you're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm seeing people grow and transform and lives change, and not just like their business, but their personal life. They're taking vacations and they're happy, and like they're giving back to the community and inspiring their teams. And that's a really happy place. So I'm doing really, really good, Evelyn.
Well, good. Anissa, things that you're really good at. Sometimes we're really good at things and we think it's like second nature, but what's second nature to you is like amazing and brilliant to other people. And so I say that because as you're talking about social media, you won't remember, but we were talking way back and you said, Facebook is the next big thing. I'm telling you, it's the next big thing. And this was before it took off. It was like when it first came out and people were just using it to post and, get likes and be social. But you were saying even way back then that this is going to be something big. This is the next big thing. And then you used it to catapult your practice in Jamaica, which was amazing. Because like you said, you moved to a different country. You're living somewhere else. You grew your practice and you had like lots and lots of followers. I think that's kind of what started people.
Yeah, like 50,000.
50,000. Yeah, I remember that. So that's the thing that started people to say, hey, teach me how to do this. And to you, you're like, oh, you just do X, Y, Z. But that was something very, something brilliant, and it helped, and it gave you an avenue to help other people to learn that as well. So are you still, I know you do a lot of different things, and we can talk a little bit about each of these different divisions of what you're doing. Are you still bringing people in through Facebook, like offices? Are there offices that still don't use Facebook? Or, how is that going? How are you introducing different offices to Facebook or marketing?
So definitely. And, what's really neat about social media marketing, and I'd love to just kind of shift into like why social media is so powerful, right? And the reason why, and I'll just say this, there are people out there that will understand that they need marketing, right? And what they'll do is they'll spend $3,000 a month on marketing, right? Or $2,000 or $5,000. They spend a lot of money on marketing. And so they hire a marketing agency and they think that's going to solve all of their problems, right? Now, what's really neat is that what I have discovered is that is actually not necessary. And you actually get better results by doing some things a little bit differently. And so what I look at with marketing is how can we get a constant flow of people that are talking about our business in the community, right? Because if we do that, then we don't have to give a $49 cleaning. We don't have to give, a $500 discount, right? We have raving fans. And social media, there's nothing else that's going to allow you to do that. And so if you run Google ads, right? And I'll talk about, there is a place for Google ads, right? But if you run Google ads, people don't know who you are, Like they're not going to be able to engage and like feel you and feel your presence, right? If you're doing postcard mailers, there's definitely no connection there. But on social media, you're able to go on there and do a smile makeover competition, and you can go on and share that, you know what, we are going to do something that's going to change someone's life. Now, before we do that, I'd love for you to number one, tell us what part of town are you in so we can know where you're tuning in from. Now, that's actually a strategy, a Facebook hack, that when people make a comment, Facebook organically puts it out into more news feeds for free. So if you're not doing that and you're doing live, you definitely always want to ask a question, right? And so you do that, ask a question, they make a comment, right? The other thing is that you can get into this sort of video and you're saying, so we're going to share, we're going to change someone's life. Before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about our practice and what we're known for. We're known for, number one, seeing our patients on time, right? We know that people are busy. Number two, we're known for beautiful, natural looking dentistry. In fact, we have technology that allows us to be able to do the crowns within 1 day. We have the ability to do digital dentistry and make it super precise. And we're also known for delivering an amazing wow experience. And so when you come in, you're going to have freshly baked plantain tarts. There's going to be peppermint scented towels. There's going to be iPhones. There's going to be headphones to take away the sound. And so you're telling them about your practice. Now, what you're doing is branding. You're planting seeds in their mind that now when they're out in the community, they can tell other people, you know, when you go there, you're seen on time. You know, when you go there, they give you plantain tarts, or they give you, the kids get hot chocolate. Like, you're planting what they will say. But what we're most proud of is impact in this community. That's what we're known for the most. And so today we're going to give away a smile makeover that's going to change someone's life. Now, maybe you were born with a beautiful smile. Maybe you were fortunate enough to be able to afford it, but most people, many people aren't. So you can do me a favor and just share this with everybody that you know. It just might change someone's life. Powerful, powerful, right? So after that's done, what happens is that you're able to spend on a Facebook ad, even $100, and you're able to get 10,000 or more people to be able to see your practice, which is very powerful. You've got 70, 80, 90 people, maybe even more, sharing with all of their Facebook friends, right? And what that means is now you start to develop a following, right? So now you have a patient come in, you give them an amazing experience, and you say, would you do us a favor? When they say, I've had a great experience, and there's a way of how, you know, you give a great experience, and at the end you say, how was your experience, right? Mm-hmm. And then you say, could you do us a favor? There's so many people that are afraid to go to the dentist. Would you be willing to do a video that we could share? It just might change someone's life. And the patients who are extroverts, don't ask the introverts, because they're going to be gleaming about the service, but they're going to be like, it was good. But the extroverts, those that are like, it was so great, I can't believe I got a tour. Like, those patients are the ones you ask. All of a sudden now, that's a Facebook post that you can spend $20 on. And guess what? Who are you spending the $20 on? People that watched your smile makeover video, right? So you're continuing to plant seeds about how your practice is different. So what's really neat is that you get patients immediately, and you get people who are watching it that become raving fans in your community. And that is so powerful. We have so many patients that come into our practice and say they found us on Facebook, and we have more patients that come in just from referrals, which is what you want, right? Like, you want that. And when they come in from referrals, I say, well, how did you hear about us? And they'll say, well, a patient referred us. And sometimes they'll say, somebody referred us, and they're not a patient. And then later on, people come in and say, oh yeah, I've been sending people to you for years or for months, but I was so afraid to come in, but I've been watching you, and I finally got the courage. And thank you for what you do on social media. I finally got the courage to come in. So you see, you cannot do that with a Google ad. You can't do it with your website. You can't do it with a postcard. You can't do it with any of that stuff. But that's the power of social media. And that's why every practice, really, if they're not doing social media, they're missing out on a huge opportunity. People love word of mouth. We know that, right? Those word of mouth patients are the ones that come in. They trust us already. They're the ones that are going to say, Doc, my friend said I got to come to you. So whatever the charge is or whatever it is, that's most important, that I get it done right. And my friend told me you can get it done right. You know, your case acceptance is going to be higher. So that's why social media, and because the ads are so inexpensive, you know, you can run a video ad for a penny. Now you have to know how, you know, there are strategies, and, you know, you start getting into what is the how. The how is understanding how to get your ads seen, right? So how do you get them seen by people who are in the top 10% in your community in terms of earnings or net income? How do you get it seen by people who live on specific streets where all of the homes are multi-million dollars? How do you get it seen by people who have been on your website? And by the way, that allows you to increase your Google ad presence. So if people want to get into Google ads, you know, Google ads are like search based, like I have a toothache, or I want dental implants, right? So you pay for a Google ad to send them to your website, and now you can Facebook track them, right? So now you're spending for a Google ad, and all of a sudden you start showing them real inexpensive Facebook ads, and now you're like tracking them, right? And the thing is, Facebook ads are so inexpensive. So if you put Facebook on top of the Google ads, it's just exponential. And this is how we used to do it all the time. Like Evelyn would be telling me about all of the beautiful teeth, and like, oh, we're gonna do this, and she would get excited about the teeth. This is typical, right, Ev? And I'm talking about the technology. I'm like, and you can do this. You're giving me the face that you used to give me, like.
I know. You're saying these things, and it's great. And I've done some Facebook things, and I've studied. But to the novice, as you're saying, that you're getting so excited, and it makes perfect. So yes, I gave you the face, but you're getting so excited, and it makes so much sense, and it works. But what do you say for the novice that's listening to you and they're like, "What in the world?" Like, I get it. It makes sense. Where do I start?
All right, so I'll tell you what we have recently done, and the reason why I tell you this is because there were some major transformations for novices. So about a month ago, I was talking in my Facebook group, just like I'm doing right now, getting all excited, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did this Facebook campaign, and it was shared 90 times. And
I can't wait for them to see the video of us, so they can see the facial expressions, and they can see how really excited you're getting about,
right,
how to do this technology things.
So I'm like, I'm in the Facebook group, the Delivering Wild group, and I'm like, guys, like, I had this campaign, and it was shared 90 times, and I paid $0 for Facebook ads. And the next day was shared 90 times, and it was shared 70 times, and then 87 times, and 92 times. Like, imagine 92 people sharing with all of their Facebook friends for free. I'm like, it was so cool, right? And I'm like, and guess what happened after that? Like, when I wanted to do a campaign for Invisalign, I was running some ads for Invisalign, actually, when I was teaching my Facebook course. And I was showing people how to do the ads, and I forgot to turn off the ad. And my team called me the next day and they're like, Dr. Holmes, what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we had 128 people ask for an appointment in one day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, oh shoot, I forgot to turn off that ad. Right, I forgot to turn off that ad. But it spent took $28 to get 128 appointment requests. And it was because we had done this campaign first. So that's what I was telling him. And I said, would you guys like for me to show you how to do that? And I said, that would be really cool. And they were like, everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, of course. So I said, all right, cool. So I said, all right. And I started thinking about, I'm like, how can I do this? So anyway, I decided to come up with this marketing challenge. And how it would work is that practices would come in, and within 3 weeks, they would launch a social media campaign, a version of what I did. And I said, I will be there to every day tell you what to do, so you don't have to figure it out. And I'll give you a 2-minute video, do this, and I'll tell you exactly, give you everything you need, so you don't have to try to figure out anything. And I said, and I'm going to help you make a marketing plan for the whole year. And most of the ideas on there, you won't have to pay anybody to do anything. So how are you going to market to get your patients talking about you? How are you going to market to get the community talking about you? How are you going to market with you and your team to be able to get people to market for you? And so they were like, all right, cool. So anyway, we created the marketing challenge. And Evelyn, we had people that had 200 plus more likes, right, over the challenge. We had practices that grew their engagement by 40,000% over the challenge. We had practices that were able to get over the fear of doing Facebook Lives, because we did them a few times in our challenge group. And I said, listen, when you do the first one, it might be where you're looking sideways, or, you know, you might stutter. But guess what? We're in the group and I don't care. So just do it anyway, because we've got to do things in our business that we have to be willing to get over fear for, because it helps people, right? And so even the first time I did my podcast, it was terrible. And my office manager says, Dr. Holmes, you sound like you're reading. And I said, that's okay. Because guess what? As I continue to do it, it's the doing of the thing that you actually learn how to do the thing you want to do. And so I am going to do the thing to learn how to do that thing. And now we're on the podcast right now, and I'm not reading anything, right? And so I said, so when you're in the challenge, you know, you're going to be nervous the first time. And you might stutter, and you might delete it because you don't like it, and you might do it again. And that's fine.
That gives it more, it makes people feel more relatable to the doctor as well. If it's not perfect, they feel like, oh, they're relatable. I can go to that person because, you know, they're not perfect and they seem like somebody that I could relate to. And yeah, so.
Transformational, Evelyn. So at the end of it, all of these doctors, by the time they got out of the challenge, they had to do a live throughout, you know, they had not throughout the challenge, but they did have to do a few Facebook Lives after they had done it in our group, and they got the confidence to do it for their practice. And it was transformational, right? And people said they've never seen anything like it. Now we had built up, some practices got 10 or 12 shares. We had some practices that got 200 plus, which is more than I got, 200 shares on one post, right? Which means that now when they go in the future and do campaigns, people know them already, which is great, right? And then what I taught them to do in the challenge is I taught them how to create a targeting, which it took them, and I'm telling you, if anybody can, I know anybody can do it, because I gave them a 3-minute video showing them how to do it, which now when they do future Facebook posts, they just choose that engagement audience, and now it's going to be seen. Anything else they post can be seen to people that saw that campaign that they did. And I know it can be done by anybody, because I did a 3-minute video and they all created their audiences. So I am confident that someone can come with no knowledge, and once you know simply what you have to do, you're able to get the result. And so that answers your question of like, how can you, if you don't know anything, you have to do some things you've never done before, get out there, you have to try. Some things might not work, and people learn that in the challenge too. Some people, even with the gift cards, I want them to get gift cards from partner businesses, which is great, because now they've built relationships with partner businesses, which is part of marketing as well, right? You build strategic partnerships. So they built those partnerships. Some of them got gift cards. Really, it was so easy for them because they used shortcuts. They utilized their team, right? Some people utilized their patients that they had. They used those shortcuts. Some people were taking the long route and they were sending emails. And they had to go through that process of sending the emails to realize that there was a shortcut, right? And so they learned through the process of the challenge to always learn to look for the shortcuts. And it was powerful. So that's one thing that I've been working on. I've done a lot of programs and a lot of things. And, we have the Facebook course and programs. And this honestly is the most transformational thing that I've done. And
the challenge.
And I'm so proud of it. And Evelyn, the challenge is like $47. And I really didn't, it was really just my way of giving, because people said they wanted to do it. And I was like, all right, great. I said, you know what I'll do? I'll send you guys a t-shirt, a Delivering While Dental Boss t-shirt. And, we'll send you some laptop stickers and swag. And so the money that they paid essentially just covers the shipping and the t-shirt. So it wasn't meant to be like, you know, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. I was just like, you know what, you guys want to do it. Let's make it fun. Get you the t-shirt. And we had over 200 practices sign up for it. And we had transformations. And then now, you know, we've decided that it's such a great thing that we're just going to continue it. And what's really cool is like, what feeds me, honestly, is like watching those videos, the transformations. And like people saying, you help me, like that's what feeds me, you know? So, so that was really, really, really cool. It really, my calling, like I said before, you know, my coach says, what is your legacy? Like this is legacy stuff, you know, when people, I can help them to be able to get those patients to say, thank you for what you're doing on social media, because it gave me the courage to walk through the door. So yeah, some pretty life-changing stuff there.
All right. Well, that's pretty outstanding. The 200 offices and transformations. That's really good. So you're going to keep this program going on.
Yeah, we are.
Challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Good. So let me ask you a question about the like the offices that you have. What are you seeing in different regions? So I'm sure like the targeting might be a little bit greater in some regions of the country or different countries. What are you seeing in, like, let's say a market that might have like a lot of dentists, or, you know, metropolitan area versus somewhere else that might be, you know, more open area for practices?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can give you some really specific data here, because we actually, interestingly, because I've done social media for so long, and because I build digital marketing funnels and email retargeting and, like, you know, other areas of marketing that kind of go on the back end of Facebook ads, dentists were asking me, and I teach those things in my programs as well, like how do you run funnels? So dentists for so long were like, can you just do it for us? Like, I mean, you know, just do it for me. And because like I'm kind of a person that just loves to please, and like, I'm like, yeah, we can, sure, we'll do it. Right. So anyway, I decided that yes, we were going to do an agency. So we had an agency. We were beta testing an agency. And so we didn't market it a lot, but people who had been through our programs that were asking us, could you do it for us? And so we had practices in United States and Canada, and within the U.S. we had New York, we had Philly, we had Miami, Denver, we had California. So like a nice mix in California. So we had people like across, right? And we had some that were more rural or metropolitan. And what was really interesting, what we found was two things. Number one is that if you were in a more metropolitan area, like maybe a Manhattan, because there are a lot of people who run Facebook ads, has nothing to do with dentistry, right? That are running Facebook ads in that area, the cost to get an ad out is going to be more, right? So if you're running the same ad with the same audience, same everything, right? And when I mean same audience, I'll say like maybe 10 miles from your practice, or the top income in your area or whatever, right? People who are in Birmingham, Alabama are probably going to get a better result in terms of cost. Sorry, not better result. Are going to get a lower cost to run the ads than if you were in New York. Okay, so that's one piece of information. And so as you're setting your marketing budget for Facebook, you have to consider that if you're in New York, it's going to cost you a little bit more to get your ad seen. The other thing that we noticed, and this is significant, right, is if these were practices that had implemented what I teach, honestly, to be honest with you, which is build up your presence in your community on your page. Okay, do the smile makeovers, do the community giveaway where every day you're giving away a different prize. Like that's why we put that in the challenge, because I wanted people to build up that presence, right? The people that were doing those sort of things, that were doing video tours of their office, or the doctor doing a Q&A on Facebook, what happened was that now they had warm audiences. They had people that had seen their page before. Okay, it wasn't a bunch of cartoons and stuff like that, right? Those are the ones that when we're running ads for Invisalign, implants, cosmetic dentistry, all on 4, sleep apnea, like those types of high value services, the people that had done the pre-work of building the community engagement, the costs were significantly lower, right? Because the people that we were showing the ads to already knew the practices. They already had seen them doing a Q&A or giving a tour of their practice or, something like that. And so that is significant. And so that's where my messaging comes in now. I'm actually next week heading to speak in Denver at a conference for ClickFunnels, and it's actually to marketers, and it's teaching them the process of improving their results for running digital marketing campaigns for small businesses. So I'm actually the speaker on small businesses at this marketing event. And so I'm actually there to talk to them about how to get better results. And how do you get better results is you focus on the page, you focus on your community, you let people see that. And now when you build your funnel, people are going to say yes, which is what happened to me, which is why I had 128 appointment requests. Now, if I was running Facebook ads and nobody knew me, then guess what? I'd have to spend a lot more money, right? Because they don't know me. So it'd be fewer people clicking on it, right? And so that is really the secret to success with Facebook marketing, because you can certainly hire an agency, right? And you can get results, you can, but it's definitely going to cost you a lot more. And so what I teach is come in, learn how to get in front of your community. And then if you choose to use an agency, they can run the ads on the back end for the implants, Invisalign, cosmetic dentistry. And you don't have to do that because maybe that's a little bit too technical or you don't want to do it, right? But you can certainly pick up your phone and take a picture of you with your patient and put a nice caption on it. And when you do that, you're using a specific audience. And that's what we teach in our programs. How do you get, how do you know when you go on your phone, we create little ways, again, like I told you in the challenge, that like in 3 minutes, I show them how to do that. And now when they go on the phone, it says engagement audience or high income audience or patient list audience or website audience, right? So now the team can certainly do that. Like it's already on your phone. You just click it, right? So that's what we teach in my Facebook programs is how do we build engagement. And then if you want to run your ads yourself, you want to run funnels yourself, there's some people that have more time than money and they can't afford an agency to pay them $2,000 a month, right? And so I'm able to train them on that if they choose to do that. That's part of our program at no additional cost. Or some people will say, you know what, I've got a marketing girl on my team, part-time or full-time, just train her and we'll do it in-house. And so people do that as well. Sometimes the dentists are like me, they're a marketing geek and they're like, I want to do it myself. And so we have dentists that do that as well. But yeah, that's essentially what we do in our programs. And if the core and base is really getting out there and just, the same sort of thing that we do in our practice every day, building relationships. We're doing it, but we're doing it with a lens so that more people can see us.
So what else are you doing too, Anissa? So you have the program. You're still doing the boot camps then? Are you training the Facebook boot camps and now the challenges? And you have some other projects going on as well, like you do a live event. Can you and some other things as well?
Yeah. So we do have a few things, and it's interesting, Evelyn, because people are looking for different things. People are looking for different things. People are at a different place in their practice where they have the ability to invest at different areas. And so for me, what's always been very important is being able to provide resources for people no matter where they are. And so we have our podcast, which is a free resource. We have a blog post that we put out every week. And we also have, our Delivering Well book. And so that is a resource that we put out. And what's been really cool with that, Evelyn, is that we have dentists that are following us all over the world. And I've had people reach out to me in villages in Africa and like all over. And they may have never been able to fly to come to our event or, participate in some higher level program, but I help them so much just with them be getting a copy of my book, right? or listening to the podcast. And then from there, what we have is now our challenge. Right. So the challenge is $47. So people can get in there and take the challenge. And so some people say, well, you know what? I'm not sure about this Facebook thing. I could certainly invest more, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to start here. Or I don't have a lot of money and I can't invest in your program. Our Facebook training program is a one-time fee, but it's $9.97, right? So we have the challenge. And then from there, we have our Facebook bootcamp. And then we also do have coaching programs at different pricing points as well. We have an introductory where you can come in and go online and get training to be able to grow and scale your practice as well as market it. And we also have a coaching program as well, where we focus on helping you to build the right people, case acceptance, and all of the other aspects of growing your business. And that goes all the way up from, a $300 program all the way up to my inner circle, we have about 25 doctors in that program. So we have lots of programs because I want to help people at wherever they are. And my goal is to keep elevating you up. So if all you can do right now is listen to the podcast, learn something from the podcast so that you can get the book, listen to the book so you can now get into the challenge. So now you get excited about social media, and I've helped you grow to the point where now you can invest in the Facebook bootcamp or a coaching program or something else that can really get in and help and dive deep and help you even more. So that's essentially how our programs work. We do have a live event, our Delivering Well Summit, which for the last few years has been in Jamaica. Our next summit is going to be in New Orleans. So we're going to have it stateside. So that'll be great because we're actually going to have team workshops where you can bring your teams, and we're going to be doing some really, really cool stuff with teams. And then we'll probably be back in Jamaica the next year. But yeah, we do have live events as well, which is pretty cool.
So you're taking your home to New Orleans.
I am.
New Orleans. So Anissa, and I asked you this in the pre-recording, like how are you managing it all? Are you still practicing dentistry? People may be, interested to know how you're doing it all.
Yeah. So really interesting. We share this story is that, not in January, but the year before in January, I knew that this was actually going to be like our 20th year, right, of practicing. And so we started using, the year before, we started using scorecards. So within our programs, we teach a process of EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System, a way of growing your business. And so one of the tools that we teach and we integrated in my practice is something called a scorecard. And so the scorecard allows us to be able to week by week track the doctor production per visit, the hygiene production per visit, reappointment rate, AR over 30. And so if you set goals, and if you don't hit the goal that week, you can look and say, well, where are we off? What do we need to do, to be able to change, whether it's going to be, doing same day rollovers, whether it's going to be you jump on and do a Facebook Live to get the marketing number up. So how can we affect change, right? And so that last year, December, I said, I'm going to set a crazy goal. Now, if you know me already, right, and Evelyn knows this, I believe in the power of belief. I do not always know the path. In fact, most times I do not know the path of how I'm going to achieve my goal, but I know damn well I'm going to achieve the goal.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I have belief. And so I set this crazy goal, which I tend to do for myself, that I wanted to be able to utilize my team and the scorecards and the processes and the systems to double my profits in my business, in my dental practice in 1 year. And what I said to myself is, if I can do that, because I wanted to spend more time with Delivering Well, I wanted to build more programs, I wanted to be able to help more people, but it was really a struggle for me because I had, practice owners that I wanted to spend more time with on the phone and diving deep into what's happening with their business. And I wanted to do more Facebook programs and but I'm only one person and I've got 2 kids and I've got a husband and I'm got to practice. And so I said, if I can double my profits in 1 year, I will give myself permission to retire. And so interestingly, December, I walked into the office after Christmas. I was in New York with my kids. My daughter went to dance. She did some dancing in New York. My son went to squash camp. And I came back and I said, how was December? I worked 2 days. How was December? Doc, it was great. I said, oh, great. She said, in week 9 of Q4, we doubled our doctor production per visit and our profit was Y. And I was like, whoa. And I wasn't like, whoa, because of what she said in the numbers. I mean, yeah, whoa, because of that, right? But I was like, whoa. Like, I thought she was going to say we had a good month or like we had a lot of patients. The fact that she was that specific allowed me to know that like we had arrived, we had gotten there. Like, it was just so amazing. So I said, guys, you know what that means? And they didn't know that I had set that goal with myself. That was just between me and myself. I said, I think it's time for me to retire. And they said, when, Doc? I said, next week. I'm going to retire next week.
We were sitting there like, not next month, not 60 days, but next.
No, next week. And so they said, boy, Doc. And they said, but you know what? We're not surprised because you've been doing so much with Delivering Well. Like, they've been to my summit and they see what I'm doing. And they knew they could do it. I've got 2 associates and they knew what they were doing, right? And so they said, Doc, I'm happy for you. You know, you got a lot of people to help. You know, whatever you want to do, you know, we support you. So I went and booked a cruise. And the next weekend, 3 days before I booked a cruise, I went on a cruise. It was like a business cruise. And I just sat there and I used it as a planning session for Delivering Well. And just a lot of time alone to reflect and plan for the year. And it was awesome. So I'm still might have a few patients left, but most of them, honestly, they've moved on to the other doctors because it's not fair to them. You know, they need to have somebody that's there and being able to follow their care. And the fact that I travel a lot, and this summer I'm here in New York for the month, spending with my daughter, it's not fair to them. They need to have somebody that when they need their doctor. And so a few of them, although they were disappointed, they totally understand. So that's where I am, Dr. Teague.
Dr. Teague.
Samuel. She's always going to be Dr. Teague to me.
I know, right? So what's next? What's next for you, and how can people who are listening get in touch with you?
You know what? I am very happy where I am right now, to be honest with you. So what's next is just, you know, helping more people. And that's essentially it. You know, getting more people to listen to the podcast so that we can help them. This marketing challenge is big. Like, so for me, like, that's my big focus right now because it was transformational. Like, it helps so many people. So that's the big what's next for me. To learn more about that, just go to deliveringwellchallenge.com. So super easy. And then, like, if you go to our main website, which is Delivering Well, you can see everything else that we have going on.
Okay, great. So we'll definitely put that in the show notes, but that's pretty easy to remember, Delivering Well. This has been so great catching up. We have not talked in a long time, so it's good to get you on the show and talk to you and let the viewers hear all the wonderful things you're doing and how you're changing lives in dentistry. So I love seeing people do great things, and you're absolutely doing wonderful things for our profession.
Well, thanks for having me. And likewise, I love what you're doing. And your story is very similar, helping dentists. And yeah, it was always interesting when we were in school. Evelyn and I were like always thinking out of the box and just trying to figure out how to be able to help people to the next level. So I love what you're doing as well.
Thank you. Well, take care, and we will be following you, and we have to do a better job of keeping up. Besides on podcasts. And keep delivering well.
Yay!
All right, Miss. So this concludes another episode of the Efficient Practice Podcast. If you have not, please join our free Facebook group, which is the Efficiency Now Network. And if you have not done so, please subscribe to, rate, and review the show. Thank you for listening. And until next time, take care and be well.